This is not financial advice, not legal advice, for entertainment, educational purposes only. Anything I say is my opinion. Please don't make any financial decision based on anything I say in these videos. Listen, Val Hill Capital founder believes that retail investors who owned XRP when the SEC lawsuit was initiated should be entitled to $500 billion in damages. And Uncle Frank had talked about it in his video, and I was texting Uncle Frank about this. I'm going to tell you guys something. Investors probably lost more than $500 billion because of the SEC lawsuit. And I believe it wasn't just Gary Gensler and the SEC. I believe a lot of big banks were also behind this lawsuit. It might appear on the surface that was the SEC going after XRP, but the SEC were not in it alone. I believe that Gary Gensler was either pressured or compensated by the banks and other bad actors to attack XRP to make sure that XRP did not run. But all it really did, in my opinion, was do retail investors a favor, because a lot of people were not aware of XRP back then. Okay, a lot of people were not aware of XRP back then. And Ripple, even though they were being attacked in their own country, they went overseas and created strategic partnerships with a whole lot of other countries and institutions. So they knew when the USA came crawling back, they would be in a position of power. And that's what Ripple is right now. But the founder of Val Hill Capital, he wants $500 billion for retail investors, and he also has what he calls the Crypto Justice Coalition, and he wants 76,000 XRP investors to become part of the coalition. And here's the thing. He is saying that initially, he is not talking about a class action lawsuit against the SEC for the $500 billion. I mean, does he think the SEC is going to voluntarily just give up $500 billion without a court order? I don't think so. I could be incorrect. Maybe the SEC is willing to admit that what they did was, I'm not going to say illegal, but wasn't supported by the law, and that their actions that were not supported by the law cost XRP investors at least $500 billion. I don't believe the SEC is going to give up $500 billion without a fight. So I see in the future a class action lawsuit against the SEC, against Gary Gensler, and a whole bunch of John Does and Jane Does, because I believe in that lawsuit, the discovery is going to uncover a lot of other bad actors who are not known yet, who were benefiting and helping or colluding with Gary Gensler and the SEC to suppress XRP. But now, a lot of retail investors all over the world are familiar with XRP, and they are buying the dips. And even though I believe the bad actors are still manipulating XRP is at a point where no matter what the banks do, no matter what the government does, XRP is going to go to the moon regardless of what the USA does, because South Korea is on board, Dubai is on board. Japan is on board. England's on board. The rest of Asia's on board. A lot of countries in Africa's on board. All they can do right now, in my opinion, and I'm not telling you to buy, hold, or sell XRP, but all they can do right now is try to suppress it as long as possible so that their buddies could load up on XRP at what I consider to be ridiculously low prices. But it also benefits myself and other retail investors also, because it gives us more time to build out our position at these ridiculously low rates. But eventually, XRP is going to run. Eventually, once XRP is used for international money transfers, once XRP is used to blockchain real-world assets, eventually, when XRP is being used all around the world, XRP price of under $3 will seem like a bargain. Anyway, please leave some comments. Tell me what you think. Do you think that retail investors should be entitled to $500 billion from the SEC because of their fraudulent XRP lawsuit? Anyway, have a great day. God bless. I appreciate y'all on this journey with me.